Attention all activity providers, let me introduce you to the official sponsor of the Start, Grow, Scale podcast. Meet Pebble, the award-winning platform that will help you manage your admin and streamline your day-to-day business, freeing up your time to focus on what you love, running your fantastic activities for children. Why choose Pebble? It's simple. Fast setup, intuitive platform, and hands-on customer success team ready to spend less time on admin and more time on creating incredible classes. Visit bookpebble.co.uk and join a community of over 1,000 activity providers today. Quote the code CHRISSY24 when joining to get your first month on the platform for free. A children's activity expert here in the UK, working with providers across the globe to help them start, grow and scale their children's activity business by unlocking their potential to maximize their income so they get to do what they love. Hello everyone. I'm so excited today because I have an amazing interview lined up with you all with the lovely Fatema from Totsplay, who I'm going to quickly ask. Fatema, introduce yourself and where you have your franchise and who you're with.
Hi everyone, I'm Fatema. I run Totsplay Birmingham South Central, so I'm predominantly in the Kingsheath and Edgbaston area, if you're familiar with Birmingham. I've been in business for almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years in September. And Totsplay is a franchise that builds on multi-activity developmental play classes for babies from birth up to 5 years old.
Wow. So first of all, congratulations for being in business for 10 years. That is a massive milestone in itself. I'm going to assume there's going to be some sort of big birthday bash to celebrate that fact in September.
Yes, we're currently in planning stages.
So with you being in business for 10 years, I think it's really interesting how everything's changed over the last 10 years. So first of all, let's dive into how many providers were around you 10 years ago. When you got started, were there many children's activity providers out there?
There was probably, in my areas, there were probably 4 others.
4 others. And
Yeah.
How many do you think there is now?
Oh, too many to count. They keep popping up left, right and centre now.
So when you first started out, what attracted you to the franchise? Why did you sign up?
So a bit of background, I actually finished uni, did a degree in business and accounting, but actually didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. It was sort of just let me get a proper degree to make my parents proud and then we'll see what we're doing next. When I finished, I got a graduate job and within 2 weeks, I just felt like I'd lost myself, like I wasn't this happy, bubbly person. I could not stand being a robot for someone else, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, being told what to do and when to do it. And it was actually my parents that pointed out that something's not right, like you need to do something to change.
What was the job?
So it was a graduate job for accounts. So I was in quite a big firm, a corporate role in their accounting team and working up to become a chartered accountant.
Okay.
But yeah, uni accounting was fun and this was not fun. There was no client interaction. It wasn't even like meeting a client face to face. You'd literally send them an email saying, I need this document.
So that totally does not sound like you from knowing you for some time.
And it was actually one of my brothers that when I spoke to him and was like, oh, I don't know what to do with myself. He said, I've told you from day one, you need to be working with children. That's just your thing. But obviously I needed to make my parents proud. I'm an only daughter after 3 boys. So, I'd sort of put that pressure on myself of my dad should be really proud of what I do and be able to tell his friends when he'd actually said nothing like that.
So you were telling yourself these stories that weren't true.
Yeah. And then I was blessed to sort of have the financial backing of my parents. I was still living with them. So he was just like, look, we can't see you like this. Why don't you just decide to do something else and see what happens? So she went to tell the manager that I was leaving. He was very disappointed because they had 1 role out of 150 applicants.
Oh, wow.
Which is the one I had got. So he let me do like a little rotation on all the different departments to see if something else would fit better. And I was just like, I can't do this office robotic 9 to 5. It's just not me. So yeah, they were very disappointed with me. I decided to leave. And then in the meantime, my dad and I actually set up another business. It was a sensory toy business.
Okay.
So we used to get stock in and then market it out to sell to like parents of children with like special needs and things like that. We went into nurseries and things like that. So that was sort of ticking along, but it was just more of a hustle on the side while I worked out what I was doing in my life. I couldn't see it becoming full-time income because obviously dealing with stocks and stuff, you're very limited on your pricing and everything. So yeah, and then at that point, my oldest nephew, who's now 11, was around 8-9 months at the time. So I just started tagging along with my sister-in-law, going to groups and speaking to her about what they've been doing. And all the stuff she was saying was all like stay and play kind of things. And I was like, oh, but like, what about the whole, like, how are you boosting his development? And it literally came up in a conversation from that, where everyone was like, you know a lot about child development. Like, why have you not pursued that? And I used to read about it just as an interest in children.
Okay.
I've always been fascinated by babies and toddlers. And, everyone used to talk about, oh, my toddler's really naughty. And I'd be sat there going, no, they're really not. Like, you can't say that. So from that, I just started looking at, oh, could I potentially start my own classes, which I'm promoting as child development? And just from doing research, I came across Totsplay.
So was it just looking online and
yeah,
the franchise
so it was
there?
actually on NetMums. So my sister-in-law told me, like, she looks for a lot of things on NetMums and a lot of the classes she finds are on there. So I was just having a little browse of like what's out and about. And I saw a little post from Helen about the franchise. Would you like your own franchise in Totsplay? So part of me was like, oh, I'm just going to send her a cheeky message on NetMums and just see if it's something I could join with. In my head, though, I was a little bit like, she's going to see a young girl who doesn't have a family herself wanting to become a franchisee. I didn't think she would go ahead with it. Yeah, I sent her a message. She sent me a message back saying, here's all the details about the franchise. I printed that off, took it back to my dad and was like, I think I've seen something. I don't know how it's going to go. And he was just like, go for it.
Oh, so that's so cool. And at the time, did you know much about franchising, or did you have to go off and research what actually a franchise was?
I knew nothing about franchising other than the little bit that we covered in our degree, which was very minute. It was literally, and to be honest, a lot of my research was just my dad, because my dad had been in business for so many years. He was an accountant himself. So I always used to tell him that I'm going to one day take over his business. So I think the mindset of having a business was there like all along, because I kept telling him I'm going to take over his, and then was like, actually, I can't be an accountant, so that's not going to work.
So obviously you went and had conversations with Helen and she took you through the recruitment process and you were like, yeah, this is for me and I'm getting signed up.
Yeah, so we had a phone call chat and she obviously asked about what's interested in me if I've got like no children of my own, because obviously everyone else was joining the franchise to have that work-life balance, to be able to do school drop-offs and pickups, whereas I didn't have any of that. And so I had a chat with her, explained it all to her, and she actually invited me to Wales, which is where they were based, to have a look at her classes in person. So I went along and had a look. I think I had a look at one of the days, and then I rang my dad and was like, can you come and have a look at this and just see if you think I'll be able to do this? So they came up, I think it was a Friday. Brilliant. They came up on the Friday and they sat through a day of classes with Helen and literally just sat there watching it. My mum and dad were like, wow, this is so you, like, this is what you need to be doing. So we went for a coffee and stuff with Helen after, and obviously Helen was sort of asking them like, she hasn't got that childcare experience. Do you think this will work for her? And they were just like, yeah, this is 100% her. So I think that sort of just solidified it all for me and for Helen as well.
Yeah, totally. I would have said you were an ideal franchisee. For someone who doesn't have children, for me as a franchisor, I would have been like, happy days, because they can be on the business like 24/7 and like getting it all off the ground. So you went from university into a job in accounts, decided accounts wasn't for you, and then went into franchising and got your business started.
And in between all that as well, I did a special educational needs course.
Oh, wow.
Just as a something to keep. I didn't want to just be sat at home going, no, I'm looking for a job. So I did that in the mix as well.
And so then when you got started, because I'm really fascinated by marketing, what was the marketing like? What's the difference between starting now and starting 10 years ago?
Starting now, I feel like there's a lot of importance on the online world. The whole social media, your pages have to be up to scratch. I mean, when I started 10 years ago, I had a Facebook page and it was a little drip feed of, here's something I've done today.
Yeah, that was what
And
I
that was
started
it.
with.
The whole in-person marketing, getting out and about. I know I used to do events like every summer in the local areas, wherever sort of summer fairs they had. They call them mum-to-mum markets now. They were called something else back then when they had sort of the buy and sell markets. Literally any events that were on, I was there. And there were some days where literally no one would come and speak to you, but it was just about getting that brand name out. I'd done leaflet drops. I'd go out to groups and do taster sessions for them. So I was very much present in the community as myself.
I like that. That's
Just this
like, yeah,
person online.
Like having real strong visibility in the community, like you said, being part of the community, understanding what's going on at the coalface and actually speaking to people. Then obviously social media started to creep in. When did you notice that? When were you like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to start upping my game?
I'd say it was probably about 3-4 years into the business.
Okay, so
we sort of saw like the whole rise of Snapchat and Instagram. It all came in quite later on, where we sort of thought, oh, okay, now we need to work out what this is as well.
Yeah. And obviously the tide of marketing changed. But by then your business was probably well established and you were probably getting a lot of friend referrals, word of mouth.
Yeah.
And was there any like challenges that you had in the first 3 to 4 years that you were like, oh, this was hard?
Well, so I launched my business in September 2014 and was getting married in February 2015.
Oh, okay.
And the one thing my dad said to me was, there is no way you are getting married without your own financial backing. So I was sort of given an ultimatum that if between launching in September to the new year, if I wasn't making enough to take at least a little wage myself, I would have to get a job part-time whilst building the business. And obviously that for me in my head was, I do not want that to happen. Like, I can't be going back into that corporate world.
So that was a big motivation.
Yeah. So I started classes in the September. I was doing a Tuesday and a Friday. I launched with 2 days. Like, I started one day and literally within a few weeks launched another day. By January, both days, I was running 3 classes a day. They were all fully booked. So that just made me go, wow, I've got something here that's clearly working. I'll be completely honest, at the time, I had no idea what I was doing that was working, but something was working. And initially I thought it's just the whole buzz of something new in the community. Everyone wants to try it out. But people were staying after doing a 3-week trial. So I was like, if they just wanted to try it, they'd do the trial and they'd be gone. They'd move on to the next thing to try. So, I picked up and I had the most amazing feedback from one of the moms that I'm still in contact with till today. She was coming with her second daughter, had moved from London, and she told me in that first term that my class was one of the best classes she'd been to in the whole, like, her older daughter was like 5 at the time.
Wow.
She was 5 years of doing classes in London. This is the best class I've ever been to. And I held on to that like it was gold.
Oh.
So whenever I'd have a rough day and someone was telling me they were leaving, I'd really take it personally because I was brand new in it. It takes a while to sort of build that up. But I literally had that phrase printed out in front of my laptop.
Oh, again,
and I would just
I tell
go
everyone,
back to, no,
go back
I've got
to
something really good here.
Yeah, always go back to that, the reviews and testimonials and stuff and the good stuff that people say about you in the times when you need it, definitely, for sure. And obviously we were chatting earlier, like you were saying, when you started the business, you didn't have children, but you do now. You have a daughter. So how did that change the dynamic in the business?
So I think this makes me very different to a lot of franchisees, because I know a lot of franchisees join to be able to do the school pickup, school drop off, be there for school events and things like that. Whereas when I started, other than a husband, it was quite, he was quite independent anyway. I could spend every waking minute of my day on my business. I could go out to as many events as I wanted. I could do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I then had my daughter in January 2020. And at that point, I did have class leaders and stuff to cover my maternity. But the struggle came because as much as I loved my business and wanted to do, I love working on my business, but the guilt would creep in because I had this tiny baby that needed me more than the business did. So I was juggling sort of entrepreneurial guilt with mom guilt. So when she was asleep and I sat there with my laptop, I'd be like, oh, maybe I need to do something for her. Oh, I'm sat here, and I've decided to put her down so I can get my laptop instead. Or, if I was sat cuddling with her, I'd be like, oh, I really need to do something on the business side. So it was that constant juggle of how do I now balance work and life when I've got this tiny soul that's dependent on me.
So what did you do?
So things came crashing down very soon after, because 6 weeks later, the pandemic hit. So, of course, all the classes side all stopped anyway. I didn't need to deal with, are my class leaders okay? Do they need any kit? So looking back, I feel that the pandemic came probably at the best time of life for me personally. I know obviously it was really hard, and that initial struggle of, I sat there crying going, my business is going to go downhill because what am I going to do? I tried doing a few online sessions myself. I think I did about 6 weeks of them. And then there was 1 week where my husband's at the door going, she's hungry. And I was like, but I'm live on Zoom. I can't do anything right now. And I think that week just said for me, do you know what? I don't need to be doing this right now. And I just emailed all my customers, quite frankly, and said, look, I know you've paid me this much money. I'm just going to put everything on pause until we work out what's happening, and we'll figure out what we're doing then. And luckily, my customer base were very understanding and just said, yeah, that's fine. Like, we're surprised you even did the online sessions with a tiny baby. So I think the pandemic gave me a bit of a break to just enjoy being a mom, which obviously wasn't as planned because I didn't get to do any groups or anything with her then. But yeah, just on the business side, it meant I could take a bit of a break.
Yeah, during the pandemic, obviously, it was very, very strange times. And in hindsight, we all rushed to go online, but I don't actually think we needed to. And
No.
I think one of the mistakes we made with Mess Around was trying to sort of keep visible when we didn't need to, because at the end of the day, there was such a massive rush to get back to classes. The demand was there. Everything was pent up. There was a starving crowd. We could have literally just had that time off and then reopened the doors and we would have been fine. But hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Nobody knows what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So obviously you were spending time just down tools, put everything on pause and being a mum. And then obviously when classes did go back, did you phase it back in, or was your teachers there, or did you just...
So I went back with one teacher. We started in the September, I think. It was a really odd one because we started and then we stopped again. But at that point, when I started, I actually started 5 days of classes.
Right, okay.
We were fully booked. So as much as I was like, I would love to have more time off with her, I was like, it would be stupid for me to not go back right now. So I had my teacher doing 3 days and then I went back 2 days. And then I think we had like a little blip in November where we stopped. But I think just from that learning curve, when we stopped in November, I just emailed everyone and said, right, we've stopped. I'm not getting hunted down by environmental health and them shutting me down. So I'm stopping for these 3 weeks and we'll start up when we can start up again. So, it was very start and stop, but
it was like the hokey cokey. We were in and we were out.
Appreciated that I was just being honest, like, with a baby who's like 9 months old, I'm not committing to doing online classes. Let's be honest, no one really enjoyed the online classes. I hated delivering them. I was attending some with my daughter and it was just a bit...
It's not the same
it was just battling that guilt of, I'm doing something with my child.
But you could have been doing something with your child anyway.
Anyway, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, so obviously we all got through the pain of COVID, scarred mentally, physically, and we came out the other end. And obviously for the last, like, you came into my world when I did the Market Like a Pop Star 5-day challenge. And that was 2 years ago, wasn't it, that we started working together? It's at least 2 years plus. And then you joined the Market Like a Pop Star program, and we've been working together ever since in all the different, through the business club and stuff. What attracted you to sign up and get involved in the challenge in the first place?
So the challenge for me was a bit of a, I felt like there was this massive hype, and wherever I looked, you were there. So I was like, "Oh, I need to try this." I think I fed a lot off your energy in the challenge. If I'm completely honest, like I do thrive with energy. If someone wakes up in a bit of a, I'm like, "Oh no, 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 that's not what we need." Like, wake up all happy. So the challenge was really like, "Wow, I like her energy," but there was things that came up in the challenge, and I'd been in business for what, 8 years at that point, where I was like, wow, I've never worked on that before. And you'd think, being in business for 8 years, people assume I know everything. And I'm like, no, no, I'm still learning every day. Like, I haven't got a clue. If someone sat down and said to me, like, oh, how did you do this? It'd be like, oh, so I trialed and errored this, and this. And now I've tweaked it to make this work. So that's what came out with the challenge. And then I joined the Market Like a Pop Star program, which is amazing. Like, I still go back to it at least once a week. There's something that I go back and watch just to refresh my memory. Initially, when I was doing it, obviously lots of ideas came up, but it's hard to have the ideas and then actually implement them all into your business all at the same time. So I make a note to try and go back and just watch a video and just go, right, okay, what can I take from that? How can I add that into the business now? So that's something that, I initially did it, over 2 years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
And I'm still going back to it.
Well, that's the whole great thing about it. It is a rinse and repeat system, and it's always building up the different layers and new things coming, like WhatsApp and stuff like that. And then you just add that to the system, and then it just makes it even better. And yeah, you're definitely right on the energy front, because that's one of the reasons I love working with you, because you're always happy and smiley and you bring the right energy into my world. And definitely energy, like on the podcast I did last week, energy plus the leads that you put out there and information generates sales. You attract those right people into your world when you give off the right energy. And like you said, if you've got someone who's been a negative Nelly, or like you said, I have it. I'm like, bad vibes. Like, my daughter does it now, and I'm like, you're giving me bad vibes first thing in the morning. I do not need bad vibes. I need good vibes.
Yeah. So it's like when my daughter wakes up and she whinges at me because she's like, and I'm like, no, can you just say that really nicely? We don't need to whinge about it. And she knows now that whinging really stirs me up. So unless she's really trying to wind me up, she'll come and whinge. Otherwise, she knows that she's got to come and speak properly.
Exactly. You need the whingers and whiners out of your life. You've got to have the action takers and the people that are actually going to, make things happen. And that's good things that you're teaching your daughter, because then when she gets older, she won't do that behavior, because she'll know that doesn't really get her what she wants.
Yeah.
Like the whinging and the whining.
And then from doing Market Like a Pop Star, I do have to add, obviously there was a small group of us graduates that have all become really good friends. We chat back and forth. So, it was nice sort of not having the competitive people. I feel like in my areas, a lot of the other local businesses are not my friends. They do see me as competition, to the point where when I did try to book classes for my daughter, I had a local provider send me a text message saying, oh, thank you for your booking. I just wanted to let you know that we're inclusive of everyone, including our competitors.
Okay.
And I was just like, well, I've been in business for 7 years. Like, if I wanted to come snoop at your business, I would have done it 7 years ago. I wouldn't do it after being successful for 7 years. And I just find within our local areas, there's a lot of we're competition. It's not we're friends.
No, yes, community.
There's enough babies to go around everyone. Like, I don't see why we have to be at each other's throats. So having that network through your program really helped me in the community aspect of having people that are like-minded, that I can speak to, that understand the whole running your own business.
Definitely. And community over competition. Healthy competition is good because it always pushes everyone on, but everyone's an individual. And if you're competing in a category of one, because it's you and the leaders and everyone out there that makes their businesses unique.
And we're all providing something so different. So
exactly,
it makes sense.
And the business club and the pop star graduates is a lovely community, and I do love the community that we have created. Basically, it's a good vibe. That's what we like, good vibes. So obviously you've done a lot over the last 10 years. you do run a very successful business. You've done like some great, amazing things with fundraising, all different things. What would you think has made you successful? What do you think the key to your success has been?
Not giving up.
Not giving. That is so true, isn't it? Like first attempt and fail.
Yeah.
You know, you just get up and do it again, do the next thing.
Do you know, when I started, because I had this thing in my head of I need to make my dad proud, which, like I said, he had no expectations of it. But when I would sort of sit down and sort of, you know, he was sort of my go-to person for anything business related. So I'd sit down and sort of say to him, right, Dad, I'm planning to add this classes. And he'd go through all the numbers and everything. I mean, he was the accountant. So, you know, we'd go through, okay, how many people do we need to break even and everything. And he could tell there was something niggling in my head. And he literally just said to me, he was like, what's bothering you? And I said, what if I fail? What if I don't make you proud? And he was like, what if you fail? He's like, what if you don't fail?
Exactly.
And I'm just looking at him like, what? Like, which dad says this? Like, surely you're a bit more concerned. Like, you've given me your investment here into the business. Like, are you not worried about getting that back? And he goes, I know you're going to give it back to me.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, he was just so confident in it. And his phrase of, why are you saying what if you fail? Like, twist it to what if you don't fail? Like, imagine where you could be.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny, 'cause I went to the Stephen Bartlett talk a couple of weeks ago.
I know, I was so jealous. I saw you there.
The one thing he said is, don't be scared to fail. And obviously we see fail as such a negative word. And when he said that, I was like, I've heard this before. And I said to my brother, I was like, oh my God, this was the lecture like Dad gave me like years and years ago. But obviously in that moment, I don't know if it was maturity or just not being in business long enough. You know, I didn't know what he was talking about.
But now you do.
Yeah, he said to me then, like, if you fail and learn something from it, you're coming back 10 times stronger.
Oh, definitely.
So even when something goes wrong, it's not a failure, it's a learning curve. And it was literally that shift in mindset of, if my dad can think of me doing something great, why can't I think of myself being great at it?
So that sounds like, your dad sounds like he's a very cool guy. And that he should be out there telling the world his message. It sounds like you've had to do a lot of work on your mindset to get it in the right place, to start flipping any negative talk, like, what if I fail? Well, what if I'm successful? Yeah, using different type of language. Do you work on your mindset?
I do, more so in the last few years. So my dad actually passed away 4 years ago, right before my daughter was born. So that was really hard to come out of. So from that, I did, and I still do, a lot more work on sort of my own mental health and my mindset. And when I see myself sort of dipping, I'm like, no, what would Dad have said in this situation? You know, to sort of pick myself back up again. So yeah, I think mindset is really, really important. And surrounding yourself with people with that positive mindset, like we've already said, like, is really important.
Yeah, so it sounds like, you know, your father is someone who's driven you to success.
Yeah,
definitely sounds like that's what I'm hearing. And obviously you've done a lot of work because you want to make him proud and your family proud of what you do. It obviously means a lot to you to have, that's how you get your enthusiasm, your motivation. That's what's driving you forward. Everyone has their own motivations of why they do things. So it's really interesting, that you're saying that's obviously a common driver, the success angle. I think success comes when you've got those different motivations, because it just naturally happens. Like, it just comes, the good vibes come to you, the universe delivers because of all the things that you put out there into the world. I definitely believe in that. And so if you were giving advice or some tips to a provider right now, maybe they're feeling a bit down, maybe the business isn't going to plan, maybe their bookings are not where they thought they would be, what message would you give them right now?
Don't be scared to fail. As long as you're learning something from it, rather than sitting there moping about classes not being full, work out, okay, what have I done and what haven't I done? What have I done to contribute to the bookings that have come in? And what am I missing to fill the rest of it? Because like you've said to me, if you can sell one space, you can sell 20 spaces. There should be no reason why people are not buying. As long as you've sold that first one, it can happen. So it's sort of, rather than sitting and moping, which I really struggle with, because I know lots of people just go, oh, I haven't got the bookings. And it's like, right, okay, so turn that around and go, right, how am I going to get these bookings? I want them. How am I going to get them?
Definitely. Yeah, it's switching it, isn't it? It's flipping it and going, right, this is where I am now, and this is what action I'm going to take to make that happen. And then, like you said, you just measure what works, what doesn't work, do more of what works, but understand the metrics in the business and what's driving the activity. I definitely think, yeah, there is a bit of a culture of moaning. That sort of
Yeah.
seems to be the message I get, just not, it's the cost of living crisis. I don't believe that. I understand it's a cost of living crisis, and I know that it is affecting some people, but I'm not seeing that in my world. You know, I've
No,
just
I'm
been
not seeing that in mine.
Exactly. I've just been part of a launch that was, what, 2.9 million. There was no cost of living crisis going on there. When you go out to town, like I was in Worcester the other day, the city centre was absolutely packed.
Yeah,
People
you
are
look at the
spending money.
restaurants, you look at the coffee shops. If you have children, you might sacrifice your Starbucks every week, but you're not going to
Exactly.
sacrifice something for your child.
I think people are just choosing where to spend their money.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got to be making sure that people are seeing you as the person to spend the money on and invest in. Well, Fatima, I've loved today's conversation. We could like talk for hours. We'll do that when we get to the Bear Grylls experience in Birmingham this year. I'm sure that people listening to this, providers listening to this, will take some tips and knowledge out of it and think, actually, yeah, I can do it if I start thinking a lot differently about how I run my business. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're an absolute amazing leader. Helen must be really proud to have you in her team. I know I would be. You're a great brand ambassador for Totsplay, and we love having you as part of the community here with me as well. So thank you for today.
Thank you very much.
And if you've loved today's podcast, guys, I would love it if you would subscribe, review, leave your comments, tell other people about it, because they can come and listen, and we'll be back with some more exciting interviews.